Fala, meus amigos, sejam bem-vindos ao Aranhaversus. Se você é novo aqui no canal, seja muito bem-vindo também. Eu sou o Aranha Invernal ou Inter Spider. E se você já frequenta o meu canal, seja bem-vindo novamente. Nesse vídeo aqui eu vou fazer basicamente um react, ou seja, dar as minhas opiniões, comentar alguns pontos sobre a revelação, da nova expansão do World of WarCraft, que vai ser o Dragonflight. Eu não fiz nenhum vídeo anterior, primeiro porque eu estava focando nos guias que eu tenho feito, guias de classe, inclusive algumas outras playlists aí para ajudar vocês com dicas e etc, explicações. Então, também, como era um vazamento e eu não tinha muita certeza ainda se o nome seria esse, eu não queria depois pagar mico falando uma coisa e ser outra, então eu esperei aí até a Blizzard revelar oficialmente. Como ela revelou, agora eu vou assistir a live, Vou ver aqui o que eles vão falar, quais são as novidades, o que tem de bom, falar sobre o que eu acho que tem de ruim, se tiver alguma coisa, mas é difícil não ter porque, todo mundo tá meio com o pé atrás com a Blizzard e também, de qualquer forma, não dá para agradar todo mundo. Então eu vou assistir aqui, a live explicando tudo e vou comentar ponto a ponto o que eu acho legal, o que eu não acho legal. Enfim, coisas boas e coisas ruins que forem aparecendo, se forem aparecendo, Então, vamos lá. Uma coisa que eu sempre gosto de comentar é como a arte do WoW, assim, pra mim, a arte gráfica, no caso, é maravilhosa, cara. Por mais que eu tenha minhas rixas, minhas picuinhas, assim, com a equipe de lore do jogo, de certo ponto também, não desde sempre. Mas a equipe de arte, ela deveria ser exaltada sempre, porque, sinceramente, é uma arte maravilhosa, cara. Não tem como colocar defeito. Arte gráfica, no caso. Tudo bem que a musical eu também gosto muito, eu acho que a galera manda bem. Pelo que a gente tá vendo aí, passou cenas do clássico, agora tá na parte do Burning Crusade. A parte da música também sempre gosto muito, cara. Vou até aumentar um pouquinho, não sei se vai ficar alto pra vocês que forem ouvir, mas vou aumentar só um pouquinho. Burning Crusade, inclusive, foi quando introduziu os Draenês e os Elfos Sangrentos aí no WoW, faz tempo. Ó, o Akama. Akama, Kael e... esqueci o nome dela, Lady Vash. Agora o Illidan. Agora a expansão, que acredito que seja, se não for a maioria, é uma parte muito gigantesca, prefere. Que é o Wrath of the Lich King. Essa música também é muito boa, cara, muito top. Pra galera que é fã, pelo menos, acredito que goste muito disso. Apesar de tudo, eu não comecei a jogar na expansão do Lich King, não. Eu comecei no finalzinho de Pandaria, começo de Draenor. Mas eu joguei desde... Quando eu comecei a jogar, eu fui fazendo tudo desde o clássico até a atualidade na época, que foi o Draenor. Então, pra mim, foi bem icônico ter passado aí também por essa fase, essa experiência. Ainda que reduzida, óbvio, Porque já não tinha mais raid nem nada do tipo. Tive que fazer depois sozinho, Mesmo assim, eu prefiro conteúdo de história, então pra mim foi top e não atrapalhou em nada isso também. Cataclisma agora. Cataclisma trouxe essas duas classes aí, que foram os Goblins e os Worgens. O Asa da Morte na loucura. Cidade de Guilnéas. Já era hora também da gente poder devolver Guilnéas, né? Garrosh. Hakar, se eu não me engano. Bane. Goblin sem vergonha. Ragnarus. Um Orgen safado. E me lembra que até hoje eu não peguei o Ionax, lá em Geodon. Agora a Pandaria, que apresentou obviamente os Pandarens, né? No continente de Mist of Pandaria. Expansão muito bonita, eu também não peguei ela na época, como eu falei, né? Comecei bem no finalzinho e eu ainda comecei jogando pelo clássico até depois chegar por aí, então também não peguei época de raid, masmorra e tal, mas foi divertido também fazer as missões. O conteúdo e a qualidade musical também dessa expansão foram muito boas. Tudo muito bonito, os mapas. Não é minha expansão preferida, mas foi muito boa também. Ter passado por ela, no caso. Vale lembrar também que eu jogo isso desde o Warcraft 3. Não cheguei a jogar o 2 nenhum, mas desde o Warcraft 3, então conhecer o Shameout do Trovão foi legal. E essa foi a expansão de fato que eu comecei a jogar, que eu peguei a época de raid, masmorra. Pra ser sincero, eu achei essa expansão... Assim, a parte de missões, de história, eu até curti. Mas foi uma das expansões assim, que eu menos gostei, foi meio que um saco. Certas coisas, né? Principalmente falta de conteúdo, a parte gráfica. Tem lugares bonitos e tal, mas eu não gostei muito. Particularmente não foi a expansão que eu curti, não. Muitos inimigos repetidos, inclusive só tem orc praticamente nessa expansão. Tudo bem, a expansão é focada nos orcs e tal, mas podia ter tido mais conteúdo, misturado outras coisas e tal. Então, tipo, comecei aí, mas as partes de raid masmorra eu achei insuportáveis, pelo menos. Realmente, só gostei das missões iniciais e tal. A parte dos Draenês eu curti também, mas depois de um tempo também ficou meio pouco, como eu falei, pouco conteúdo e tal, mas pontos bons e ruins assim, mas foi fraca, né? Resumindo. Eis aqui uma das expansões que eu mais gostei, tanto por questões assim, de que eu sou muito fã desse personagem que é o Illidan. Mas apesar disso tudo, a expansão foi muito boa. Eu curti, teve problemas, mas nenhuma expansão é perfeita. Mas assim, trouxe muito conteúdo de história bacana, conteúdo legal. Então foi uma das expansões assim que eu mais curti mesmo, foi o Legion. Realmente eu gostei bastante. Essa daí foi a expansão que valeu a pena jogar. E eu já estava fazendo conteúdo atualizado, né? Então joguei praticamente só ela mesmo, participei assim, em todos os períodos, né? Fora que trouxe essa classe que era a minha preferida, né? Ainda tá no meu coração, mas não é a preferida mais, mas a classe Demon Hunter, que é muito boa, muito legal de se jogar, muito icônica, principalmente para quem curte lore e jogou Warcraft 3 também, né? Que jogar com Illidan foi muito bom. Então realmente essa expansão também marcou muito, foi muito boa. Infelizmente o Varian morreu, né? Agora entramos em Battle for Azeroth, ou sei lá. Trouxe várias mudanças com os Vulpera para a Horda e esses Mechanognomos para a Aliança. A expansão basicamente foi focada na guerra, na treta entre a Aliança e a Horda, entre aí as Sylvanas e o Anduin. Trouxe várias raças como Cultirenos, Trolls Andalari. Trouxe os... não, se bem que foi no final de Legion que teve os Elfos do Vazio, né? Mas enfim, trouxe várias coisas, várias histórias. Teve até bastante... Assim, teve conteúdo. Dá pra discutir se foi bom ou ruim, mas até teve conteúdo. Trouxe aí também... Tem aí os Ferro Negros, Orc Magá. Eu gostei dessa expansão, mas também não gostei tanto assim. A parte da história até teve conteúdos legais, teve partes legais e tal. As cinemáticas, os videozinhos, os clipes que a Blizzard fez nessa expansão, eu falo pra vocês, foram perfeitas, foram maravilhosas. Principalmente as do Sorfang. Mas acho que o ponto alto da expansão foi esse mesmo, né? Enfim. Entramos agora na expansão atual, que já acabou, né? Mas querendo ou não é atual. É Shadowlands. Shadowlands foi uma expansão complicada de se falar, porque a parte da lore eu particularmente não gostei. Eu até gostei de uma coisa ou outra, mas não foi... Sim, pro meu gosto, pelo menos, não foi grande coisa. A parte aí, pra quem é fã do Arthas sabe o que eu tô falando, foi ridícula. Fora outros detalhes, a parte das Sylvanas também, que as pessoas... Tipo, beleza, se você quer redimir um personagem não tem problema, mas como foi feito eu não gostei. Também não gostei do Winter ficado lá, né, lá pela Shadowlands, enfim. Mas foi uma expansão muito bonita, deu muitas montarias, eu gostei bastante das montarias. Então, em questão de cosmético, também foi muito boa. Só a parte da lore que eu não curti muito, né? Enfim. Vou aumentar um pouquinho, que eu acho que agora deve estar abaixo. Pelos Murlocs.
For Azeroth!
Hi everyone, I'm John Haidt, General Manager for WarCraft, and with me today are my friend
Esse Ion aí é que é complicado.
who is the Game Director for World of WarCraft, and Holly Longdale, who leads up the production team for WoW Classic. I really appreciate you tuning in. I know we're really excited to be able to give you updates on what's happening in World of WarCraft.
Vamos ver o que tá rolando,
I want
né?
to thank our
Espero que seja coisa boa.
feedback you've given us this year.
Só pra avisar, gente, enquanto eu tô gravando vídeo, de vez em quando eu vou dar uma pausa, assim, pra poder comentar alguma coisa um pouco... fazer uma pontuação e tal, assim, depois eu, né, volto o vídeo, dou play de novo, pro caso de vocês quererem escutar o que eu tô falando, mas também acompanhar ali o que eles estão falando, né? Então, só pra não ficar embolado.
Especially our Community Council. You've helped shape and influence the updates that we've done recently and what you're going to see in the upcoming year.
I mean, really, for Shadowlands in particular, the story of the last 9 months or so of this expansion is all about the community, and it's shaped by what we've been hearing from them, and us realizing as a team that we just collectively needed to do a better job of making sure the community...
Aqui é um ponto importante que eles basicamente estão assumindo, mas também, tipo, como não assumir, mas tava difícil deles assumirem, né? Como é importante eles ouvirem a opinião dos jogadores, afinal, somos os clientes e a gente que faz o jogo na questão de estar jogando, né? Então, eles pelo menos deram esse cara, esse Zé, pelo menos ele deu um reconhecimento de que eles precisam melhorar e escutar mais a opinião dos jogadores, afinal, a gente que joga. Parece que, por muito tempo, parece que os desenvolvedores e tal não jogam o jogo, não conhecem o jogo, fazem as coisas que as pessoas não querem, que as pessoas pedem e eles não fazem, então, tipo, aleluia, ouviram, resolveram ouvir, comunidade, parabéns, obrigado.
We felt heard, and so that led us to the changes we made in 9.15, but also really re-examining some of the assumptions and foundations of World of WarCraft about things like character investment and mains versus alts, or how catch-up should work, or the appropriate role of friction in our systems. And I think 9.15 represented a step in the direction of letting players have more freedom to play World of WarCraft the way they...
Outro ponto aqui, cara, isso é uma coisa que faz muita falta já há muito tempo. Deixa a gente jogar do jeito que a gente quer. Isso vale até para jogador. Tem jogador que fala assim, mas se você não faz raid, você não tá jogando. Amigo, faz sua raid. Joga do jeito que você quiser. Deixa os outros jogarem também do jeito que eles querem. Então, assim, tanto os desenvolvedores quanto alguns jogadores têm que entender isso. Gente, deixa a pessoa jogar do jeito que ela quer. Não vai impactar no seu jogo, por exemplo. E no caso dos desenvolvedores, se a gente jogar do jeito que a gente quer, a gente se diverte. E a gente continua jogando. É melhor do que parar de jogar, porque a gente não pode jogar do jeito que a gente quer. Então,
They want to play it.
beleza. Já era a hora também.
Opportunities and content update from the ground up around those principles.
What are some of the things that the community said that influenced your decisions for Eternity's End?
Things like the method and pacing of acquisition of the Covenant Legendary item, tons of tuning, and I think every step of the way, we were listening to make sure that we were carrying forward those lessons learned in the course of
Vamos aprender, né? Já era a hora também.
into Eternity's End and beyond.
So, WoW Classic was really
Tá, e um ponto também. As pessoas pediram tanto pra que falaram que não tava. Não estavam gostando do jeito que tá o WoW atualmente, queria jogar o clássico, queria que o WoW voltasse como era antes e tal. E de tanto pedirem, fizeram um servidor de WoW clássico.
came about because of the community.
Ouvindo a opinião dos jogadores, né?
Help guide and support us as Classic evolves.
World of WarCraft has always been about
Tinha muito servidor pirata também, de clássico, outras expansões.
and we are in a lot of ways curators and caretakers of that journey and of that experience. And so once this classic community formed,
E muita gente prefere jogar o clássico mesmo, do jeito que
It's
era.
this tide of listening to the community and paying attention to what is a good experience for our players now. And where we really saw a sea change in this idea is with our Season of Mastery realm, which is a Season of Fresh Start Classic. And
Ragnaros, hein?
talking about it like it was going to be like a fresh start. Let's try this experiment in a season. It'll be about a year long. And then
Deram uma testada, mas viram que gostaram, né?
seeing this upswell.
yeah, the team just took that idea and ran with it and turned, what started out as a small community project into this Soul of Iron system that became a centerpiece of Season of Mastery and a whole new opt-in hardcore mode that we've seen communities built around.
Yeah.
Lots of, thrilling victory and painful defeat.
5 hours. I made it 5 hours.
Yeah. And it continues like
Normalmente a galera hardcore prefere jogar mesmo
seals between Horde and Alliance. So
essas expansões mais
we
antigas.
wouldn't have gotten there without the community's input.
So, influence the community. You've got another update and pretty significant controversial change for this.
Yeah, cross-faction play coming in.
Ó, isso aí é uma coisa que já era pra ter há muito tempo que eles vão começar a falar, que é a facção cruzada. Ou seja, você é da Horda, você vai poder jogar com pessoas da Aliança. Até, nem todo mundo fica com essa palhaçadinha de que da Horda, não sei o que, da Aliança. Nem todo mundo tem essa palhaçada. E sempre foi um problema um pouco. Tipo assim, gente, já passou. O jogo já tem, sei lá, 18 anos. Tipo, as coisas mudam, tá? Querendo você ou não. Sabe? A história avança, etc. Essa tretinha pra sempre não é uma coisa funcional. Entenda o seguinte. Já aconteceu muito comigo. Amigos que jogam na Horda não querem jogar na Aliança. Eu até tenho personagem na Horda na Aliança, mas assim, eu prefiro jogar na Aliança. Por que eu não posso fazer uma masmorra ou uma raid com alguém que joga na Horda, estando na Aliança? Sabe, não tem... Tem muitos... Na lore do jogo, tem muitos personagens que são pacifistas e etc. Então, assim... inclusive, servidores, por exemplo, que tem pouca gente jogando numa facção e etc., são beneficiados por poderem jogar junto com gente da facção oposta. Gente, isso não vai atrapalhar em nada a sua jogabilidade. Vai diminuir o tempo das filas, as pessoas vão ficar mais animadas para jogar, porque vão poder jogar com amigo que prefere outra facção. E o PVP vai continuar rolando, gente. Você entra na fila de PVP, você liga o modo de guerra. Então, assim,
925.
isso já é passado já, cara.
Public test realm now as a big
Era para ter entrado muito antes, inclusive.
With a 17-year tradition.
Olha lá, 17 anos de...
decision by any means, and I think this is another one of those areas where really we try to take to heart community feedback.
Feedback é importante.
Ask ourselves as a team whether there's
Vamos
a way
considerar o feedback.
to accommodate such an earnestly held desire and still feel like we're being true to the roots of the game. I The players desire to play with their friends who might prefer a different faction, or to play with the faction that they more
É
closely
isso, cada um joga na facção que quer, mas joga com amigo, pô.
It's really important for me.
Não tem problema, cara.
And I love absorbing the story for each race, and having that ability to play with all of my friends across factions is fantastic.
Isso é muito importante.
The battle cry is for the Horde. It's not against the Alliance. It's not death to the Alliance. It's
Pra muita gente é assim.
one's faction. And I think there's a way
Ah,
to
beleza.
preserve that and even strengthen that while giving players the ability to make the same choice we've seen the greatest heroes make.
Isso, meus amigos. Vendo que eu falo? Escolha.
I'm seeing a lot of my friends that I never knew had a max level character in the other faction suddenly come out of the woodwork.
And then, with these cross-faction groups, many of them are going to be diving into something new that we're doing to kind of cap off Shadowlands, a Season 4. Kind of a remix, a bit of a greatest hits, revisiting all of our raid zones across the expansion, bringing in some familiar older favorites into the Mythic Plus rotation. And we recognize this is kind of a closing chapter, a little bit of a send-off to Shadowlands. As everyone gets ready for what happens next, and what will come next, want to give a fun new challenge for everyone to sink their teeth into.
Really cool stuff for
Por enquanto eu tô gostando, eu tô achando que são coisas positivas que estão vindo aí.
You're going to give me the chance to go back and play
A princípio, né?
awesome raids.
There's a lot to explore. Very
Nossa, só
exciting.
de diminuir a fila de raid, gente.
Adventure in World of
Ou
Warcraft.
masmorra.
We're going to go back to Azeroth. We're going to a space with high
Muito bom também, ó. Falando que a gente vai voltar pra expansão em Azeroth.
been kind of the foundation of
Chega de ir pra outros lugares e tal.
So,
Um planeta gigante.
let's watch the cinematic.
Bora ver o trailer aí.
The world has been sundered. It cries out in pain. We must go to its aid. We entrust our ancestral home to you, the Watchers. Let the land slumber, hidden even from our own eyes. You will feel our return in the waking of the land. Then you must light the beacon of Tearhold, lest the path home be lost to us forever.
Ih, coitado, despedaçado. Vai, amigo, força. Vai que você é bodybuilder, vai que você aguenta. Ah, coitado. Vai virar farelo, então. Você fez seu papel. Ah, boa. A grande Alex traz aí, rainha dos dragões, mãe dos dragões, libertadora de correntes, dona de 1000 cavalos, Calice. Anão queimada.
The world is healing, but her fate is yet uncertain.
Ah, bonita, hein? Dragonesa linda.
We shall be Azeroth's protectors once again. Here,
Verde, azul,
the
dourado.
new age of dragons shall begin.
Revoada dragônica. Dragonflight.
Dragons!
Dragons.
This is so cool.
Dragões são sempre algo legal mesmo.
No one saw it coming. Carefully kept secret. But
Nem
seriously,
tanto sigilo assim não, né?
we just see there.
The awakening of the
Acabou que o vazamento era real, né? Então,
of dragons, the dawn of a new age. Right, we've seen
a volta dos dragões é algo interessante mesmo, que já estava muito
Dragon Isles. There's a reason why he hasn't
muito de lado já.
until now.
The beacon going off, is that summoning the dragons?
It is removing the concealment that had hidden the Dragon Isles from the world, but also beckoning the dragons back urgently in a time of need.
I assume pretty good variety of locales within the Dragon Isles.
Yes, the Dragon Isles, as kind of standard for WoW expansion, consist of 5 zones,
5 mapinhas.
standard leveling zones, and
4 mapas de nível.
I'll get to in a second.
Can you talk a
zona
little bit about
inicial.
how the team found ways to thread the dragon
De
aspect?
começo, né? Porque normalmente eles colocam mais zona depois.
Dragon Isles
É bom, em
are a
alguns
place
casos.
that is lush and primal, bursting with elemental energy. As Azeroth herself reawakens, those primal forces are expressed throughout the environment.
Tá, então a Azeroth está
Magmatic
despertando.
activity, volcanic activity, whether it's the icy wastes of the Azure Span, and each one of those has a connection to a Dragonflight that we've seen before. And it's going to be
Então cada lugar vai ser, pelo visto, com a temática de algum dragão
You know, I'm
específico.
gonna ask,
Yes, okay, so
can I be a dragon?
let's start getting into some features here and what Dragonflight means for you as well as just a place. So first off, yes, we have an all-new playable race.
Nova raça já era
Fear race.
Dract, raça do Dragonborn, então. Ah, aí, ó.
Iconic race, but dragons in Warcraft
Já era hora de ter raça nova.
a humanoid form.
Não era que eu queria, sinceramente eu queria Naga e Morlock, mas
Unique abilities as literally a dragon. That doesn't
raça de dragão também é
exist in
interessante.
classes. And so what we're doing is this is not just a new race, but it's also a new class.
Nova classe, nova raça. Ah,
Not just an allied race is something that we don't do lightly.
vamos ver que nova classe é
This
essa.
expansion, this story, so focused around dragons, felt like the perfect time for it. So if you were a Drakthir, you will be the Evoker class.
Evoker.
Drakthir can only be Evokers, Evokers can only be Drakthir.
Tá,
And
então
the
é
reason why
extremamente limitado, isso é ruim.
is that an Evoker is really combining the ability to call upon the magic of the different aspects.
Tá, até parece ser interessante. Então, um mago.
That a Drakthir has, the ability to actually take flight and do an Onyxia style.
Isso aí é bacana, pelo menos as animações estão interessantes.
Knock everyone back with a
Parece ser divertido de jogar, bonito de jogar e tal.
Yes, please.
The Evoker has 2 specializations. They
Nossa,
are
2 specs só?
either range DPS or healer. And they wear mail armor. We figured,
Malha, beleza.
classes we've added over the years, we have enough melee, we don't need more of those. And also probably don't need any more leather wears.
É, chega de usuário de couro, pelo amor de Deus. Tava faltando malha mesmo.
Class. And so that
Classe
means,
heróica e
like
tal.
the Death Knights before them or Demon Hunters, they will be starting level 58, and then they're going to have a new starter zone. So they're going to have a slightly different journey.
Pô, mas duas specs só, DPS e healer, cara.
Sailing there from other parts of Azeroth.
Can you talk a
Pô,
little
não podia
bit
colocar tanque também?
like what is going to be able to identify my drag clear character?
Basically anything and everything. You know, skin color, hair color, jewelry.
Aparentemente muitas customizações pro personagem, isso é sempre bom.
The expression of your identity in Azeroth.
New zone, new class,
Yep.
new race. Well, tell us about some of the system updates or features.
Of course, the new expansion brings with it, you know, new systems, new features. I think in recent expansions,
Espero que esses sistemas sejam bons.
to do is really have these deep features that were closely tied to a specific expansion that would then get left behind as we moved on. And we've heard loud and clear from players that, you know, it's kind of a bummer to start off every new expansion by leaving a large part of your character behind, by leaving a large part of your progression.
Sempre chato mesmo.
This time around, what we're doing is really pouring all of our energy into permanent revamps, overhauls, and improvements to World of Warcraft's core systems. Things like our progression systems, in this case, our talent system is something that we want to completely revamp. We want to take a look at our UI. We want to take a look at professions.
So with the
Mudanças
talent
na
revamp and
profissões.
the arrival of Classic, did you learn anything about how our talents work?
I think seeing a new generation of players play with those talents and work through those talent trees really
Volta de árvore de
that,
talentos.
frankly, we lost when we shifted to the Mists of Pandaria style talents and beyond. A big piece of that was just the granularity, the feeling of getting a level and spending a point to customize your character to make yourself a bit better in
Pontos
some
de
specific way.
personagem.
But also, you know,
Bom, quando eu comecei já tinha um sistema de talentos, então pelo visto eles estão querendo voltar,
lost. And so the new talent system avoids directly
tipo jogos que você gasta pontos.
power throughput choices directly against those sort of utility hybrid choices, because we know that there's always a right outcome there. And we also understand that, you know, there's a lot of strength in the flexibility of the modern talent system to let players customize their talents.
É, uma coisa de positivo que tem nisso é que você personaliza bastante o seu estilo de jogo.
UI?
Não sei se eu sou a favor ou contra, mas
Yes, I got this 30-inch monitor, trying to keep track
dá
of
uma diferenciada, é
all
legal.
my buffs, and over here, what's going
Agora
on?
estão falando sobre
Literally made my eyes go like.
a interface do jogo, né?
You're not alone in that. We've made a lot of incremental changes
Pelo visto
over
teve...
the years, but really this is a revamp. This
Vou
is
reformular a interface do jogo que muita gente reclama que é antiga e tal. Eu gosto, mas
World of Warcraft. No, it's
podia melhorar mesmo, de
way
fato.
the sort of power user customization there. Add-ons are still there if you
Tem muita gente que usa addon pra isso. Eu não uso porque realmente pra mim não faz falta, mas
experience for all players.
se eles melhorarem, melhor, né?
Reduce elements, remove elements. If I want to explore the world and
É, tá bem diferente. É, tá melhor.
To specific elements as much
Tá
as
melhor,
possible,
tá diferente
players
mesmo.
choose what to show and
Vai
what to
ficar, né,
hide
no caso.
so that they can control it themselves.
You mentioned professions. I have a critical question about this.
Go on.
Can I wear a chef's hat?
yeah, I knew it.
Pô, o que ela quer saber...
Dragonflight is really all about delivering on fantasy and identity as a crafter. And so, if you want to be a serious
Vai ter uns transmogs de
worker, we want to
legal,
the
então.
ability to invest
Profissão
time and energy
Twig.
into that. Become a master crafter. Be able to make items that are in demand, interact with
Pelo visto vai ter mudanças interessantes nas profissões também.
that is a new work order system to have a bit more convenience than just spamming trade chat all day. But if you are someone, you're not yourself a blacksmith, but you have a bunch of mats and you want them forged into a great sword, you can put that work order up, list your mats, offer a commission.
É, pelo que eu tô entendendo, agora vai ter um sistema também que você, por exemplo, você quer um item, você faz uma ordem de pedido na casa de leilão, pelo que eu tô entendendo, e outras pessoas, por exemplo, que podem fabricar aquele item, vê que você tem um pedido e faz pra você, obviamente tá vendendo pra você.
And a skilled blacksmith can come along and make you the weapon of your dreams.
I think we left out one thing though.
Tipo, ordem de serviço mesmo.
Go to Dragon Isles. Can I have a dragon?
What's the fantasy of
Ah, mas já não temos dragões?
soaring over?
Vamos poder ser dragões?
So we're really excited to introduce a feature that we're calling dragon riding. It's dynamic,
Montaria de dragão.
you know, everything from momentum to dive bombs, the ability to, you know, just sort of build that speed up and feel the world rushing past you in a way that should be
Tá,
much more
mudança no
exciting
sistema de voo
than
também.
traditional flight that we've had in
Mais
before.
interações com voo,
It's also
acredito.
available for players through a customizable dragon mount right from the start.
So This is a skill
Uma montaria personalizável é
right, to
bacana.
become an awesome dragon rider.
Yes, you'll be able to sort of upgrade aspects of your flight, but you will have this new form of flight
Upgrade
from
na
the
forma
start.
de voo.
And the dragon companion
Interessante.
that you have
Companheiro dragão.
is, of course, very thoroughly customizable, which is a new thing for us for mounts. This is not just a generic
É, tem muito dragão genérico no jogo, de fato.
that is yours.
Pelo visto, aí é interessante. Você vai
Horns, the shape of its head,
vai poder personalizar várias coisas na sua montaria, isso é bacana.
This is so
Peça de armadura, aí é maneiro.
So yes, the Dragonflight expansion is going to see players leveling to 70, going to the all-new
Nível máximo
of the Dragonflight,
70.
which consists of 5 zones, 4
Ó, até o momento teve só uma coisa que eu não gostei. O resto, por enquanto, eu tô gostando. Mas assim, esse negócio de dessa raça nova e classe nova. Só pode. Se você vai jogar de dragão, você só pode ser evoker. Se você quer. E vice-versa. E só tem 2 specs para essa classe nova. Isso eu achei meio. Sinceramente, eu achei meio merda. Tinha que ter a opção de você jogar de tanque. Tudo bem que o cavaleiro. O DH, né? O Demon Hunter só tem tanque e DPS. Tudo bem, ele não tem healer. Mas no caso dessa raça aqui, eu acho que ficaria legal você poder tancar também. Você ter um Dragon Knight, sabe? Um cavaleiro dragão para você tancar. Né? Mas eles resolveram colocar só, enfim, DPS e cura, né?
standard
Mas,
leveling zones, and a new starter zone.
pra mim, não gostei não.
Your class, as
Gostaria
well as a
mais de
range
3
of systems
specs.
revamps, such as a new talent system, an overhaul and update to our UI, and an entirely fresh look at
Mudança na interface legal também.
than ever before. Also getting around the Dragon
É
Isles
isso aí, né? Vamos trabalhar, né, galera?
of dragon riding, which lets you
Montaria de dragão, isso aí é bacana, isso aí é legal.
You can fly in a sense from the start.
As mudanças no voo também é divertido.
Have a new set of dungeons, a raid, and much more to come.
We also have an alpha that will be starting up in the future.
Check out our website for more information and keep an
Pô,
eye
me
out
chama pra esse alpha aí, pra esse beta aí, ô Blizzard.
help us test out Dragonflight and give us even more feedback to make it better.
Do have
Me
a
invita aí.
dive that follows this, so please stay around. Classic players,
de olho.
we haven't forgotten about you.
Tá, agora vai falar do
Guess
clássico.
where we're gonna go next. One of the all-time favorite expansions for World of WarCraft. Let's watch the cinematic.
Forgotten. Did you think we had
Servidor do Lich King.
just begun? Not my king yet. My son, the day you were born, the very forests of Lordaeron whispered the name Arthas.
Com certeza é uma das melhores expansões, cara, sem dúvida.
When my days have come to an end, you shall be king.
Esse ano ainda, então, vai ser lançado o servidor do Lich King, então. Bom, eu não vou jogar, mas bacana. Maneiro.
It's just incredible, isn't it? Every time I see the cinematic, I get chills. No pun intended, I get chills. As you saw, Wrath of the Lich King Classic is coming this year. It brings back so many memories. When you see that cinematic, what do you remember from Wrath of the Lich King?
Anytime you want to talk about
E eu, infelizmente, lembro da porcaria que fizeram com ele em Shadowlands. Infelizmente.
undead frozen dragons, how can you not go back to Sindragosa as the source? That was the first expansion I played with my youngest son. So I can remember on that platform, black goo and chunks of ice falling off and having to repeat that battle with the Lich King. But when we finally downed him, it was such an incredible moment. He jumped up out of his room and I jumped up out of my office. We're like, yeah, did it. So it's a very lasting tale for me.
So as you know, with this expansion, you will, in pre-patch, be able to play the Death Knight. They will start at level 55. You don't have to have a high-level character to make a Death Knight, so everyone will be able to make one.
We're excited to give players some time before Wrath officially launches to get geared up and ready to jump into Northrend with everybody else.
And there are so many zones and areas to explore in Northrend, and I want us to talk about some of our favorites. So for me, Grizzly Hills has a very special place in my heart. The music was some of the best I've experienced in World of WarCraft.
I still make my way all the way up to Storm Peaks to try and find the time-lost Protodrake, and have yet to get it.
I've got to say Dragonflight. The wide open nature of the zone, Wormrest Temple in the center of it, it's an unforgettable expansion as both a developer and a player, and kind of making that transition from one to the other.
Now let's talk about some changes. So one thing we looked at is Dungeon Finder, and it feels like how we envision Classic, Dungeon Finder is not a good fit for our community.
That was kind of the first
vai tirar o...
eroded some of that social fabric. Now, as people have gone through the experience of going back to vanilla, rebuilding those groups, relying on each other.
Desanimaram então com localizadores.
Just to show up and then leave.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Então...
Today, you can do that in Shadowlands. You'll be able to do that in Dragonflight.
Desanimaram então do localizador de grupos.
Want that different experience.
A galera tá preferindo montar o grupo por elas mesmas e tal.
In Burning Crusade Classic.
Eu não gosto, mas...
Listen to the community, and we remove that because individual rating is preferable and a better experience for them than arena teams.
Pô, mas é a galera que quer o clássico, então até aí tá certo.
Barbershop, which allows you to customize your character. We're going to be adding a few more options that were not existing when Wrath launched. But also there's another side of this where we are not going to charge a real money fee. It was a paid character customization fee, right?
Yeah.
It seems the right thing to do that just be available in-game for gold, and we add more options to it,
Óbvio, vai cobrar dinheiro para você fazer a
There's a lot of technical advancements, and it's not about the philosophy of what makes Classic classic and what brings people together. It's just what's the better experience, and let's not artificially restrict something that we can provide a better version of just for the sake of nostalgia. And
nostalgia, de fato, eu também acho que é...
So, Wrath. The
mais
level
bobão.
is being increased to level 80, so we'll be introducing a level 70 boost so that players who want to get in with their friends or just explore Northrend right away will be able to do that. You can't apply it to a Death Knight, but you will be able to use it otherwise. And of course, we have Inscription, a whole new profession, so we're really excited about that. Yeah, and as we continue this road to Wrath, we're going to be looking to getting a lot more feedback on beta, and we'll make changes as we need to.
Such an exciting time to be playing World.
Para quem gosta aí e vai jogar os servidores clássicos aí, uma boa.
Classic fans and taking us somewhere new with Dragonflight. We're so excited to be able to bring these adventures to you. Don't forget, there's a deep dive on Dragonflight where you're going to get a lot more information. Thank you so much for spending this time with us, and we'll see you in Azeroth.
And we'll see you in Northrend.
And in the Dragon Isles.
Hi there, welcome to the Dragonflight Deep Dive. I'm
Falou em história me dá até medo.
Gregory. Starting it off here, we're going to talk about the setting and the story of Dragonflight.
We've got this great expansion, exciting pre-render trailer that everyone just watched. So let's talk about the setting of Dragonflight, the Dragon Isles.
Dragon Isles have been known for a long time in Warcraft history as a mysterious place where the dragons came from long ago, but we never knew much more than that.
We're going to this place that is kind of the broodlands of all the Dragonflights, the place where they
faz sentido, era
their civilization.
onde eles surgiram.
Dragon Isles was the center of the dragon's kingdom when the world was young and the mortal races were just starting to form kingdoms of their own. But when the Legion invaded for that war,
10.000 anos é a Guerra dos Anciões.
resulted from the explosion of the Well of Eternity.
Literal sunrise.
Foi durante esse evento aí cataclísmico que o cara,
that magic kind of drained away.
o vigia lá se...
So they had to leave the Dragon Isles behind. And as we saw in the pre-render, they left behind some Titan Watchers to look over the land. And when someday they hoped that elemental energy would resurge once again and draw the dragons home and reestablish their kingdom.
And that's when the message goes out to the flights and they feel it in their bones.
Now it's the time for the sky to light up with the colors of the aspects once again, and for Alex Straza and the others
faz
to come home.
sentido,
But the land has changed a lot.
pelo menos esse retorno dos dragões.
Some very old threats have awakened as well.
We're looking into the culture of
Que
dragons
ameaças
as
são?
they exist in Warcraft.
Dragons, as we know them today, were very different in the early past, the early history of Azeroth. They were much more primitive, much more savage, what we now know as proto-dragons.
And then some of the dragons were empowered to become the aspects. The green flight, red flight, blue flight, bronze flight, black flight, each with unique powers, each with the ability to protect the world in different ways. These pillars of draconic power appointed to defend Azeroth from threats within and without.
Dragons used that power both for good, in the case of most of the aspects, but also for nefarious reasons in the case of the Black Dragonflight led by Neltharion, who would become Deathwing.
And what we will find in Dragonflight is that some of these ancient divisions run deep. And so it begs the question, where do we go from here? If this is an opportunity to reclaim their legacy, to be the protectors, as the cinematic mentioned, that they once were.
To do that, they're going to need the help of our heroes, our players, to come to the Dragon Isles with them and face some of these reawakening challenges, because it's not just that this land is peacefully waiting for the dragons to return and reclaim it. There's those old enemies that have awakened as well.
Yeah.
One of those being a race of kind of elemental half-giants, the Jarradin.
The Dragon Isles isn't just populated
Meio
by
gigantes elementais,
just
tá?
by the Jarradin. There's also many
Pode ser
other
interessante.
occupants here in the
Ô,
Dragon who've
Mamutinho.
been here either just recently or for a while, including a fan favorite coming back, the Tuskar.
That's
Aí é
We've got
bom.
other cultures there as well.
Os Tuskar são gente
We're going
fina.
to find out
Ou moças
about
finas.
a civilization
Ou
of
nem tão finas,
centaurs
são
that
gordinhos.
predates the ones that arose on
Tão
Caliban
legais.
much later.
And some of our favorite characters that we've seen over the last few expansions, such as Rathian.
Até que
and
enfim
whether
o
he's ready to
Rathian vai
step
voltar,
up.
né?
Into a leadership
O dragão
role,
negro
or if
galante.
there are other alternatives out there that would be better suited to the job of being the aspect of the Black Dragonflight.
I think one thing the players are going to be really excited about this expansion is the new playable race, the Drakthir.
A raça nova me
This is
interessou.
something that Neltharion, before he was Deathwing, before he went full crazy world dragon, that he put into motion.
Neltharion
Então,
saw
graças ao
those
Neltharion tem essa raça nova.
that were kind of breaking away from the aspects and what they wanted. And so, in those first experiments, he took the essence of dragons, their strength, their nobility, their wisdom, and he combined it with that scrappiness, that adaptability that the mortal races had. And he wanted to use that to create the ideal soldier in his mind.
Ah, então essa raça nova que a gente vai jogar realmente é uma criação do Neltharion, ou seja, o Asa da
We're going to
Morte.
be going to this ancient
Graças aos experimentos
dragons
dele.
left behind long ago. So we've made these huge zones with all kinds
valeu
of
aí,
places
Neltharion.
to delve into
Ajudou em alguma coisa.
and find little treasures and little
Fez algo de
secrets
bom.
tucked away. It's going to be a lot of fun for players to be exploring these landscapes.
And there's so much architectural history and how clearly aspirational was the kingdom of the dragons and how it lost so much. And the themes of trying to return to that, to try to find your legacy, to try to figure out who you were before everything went awry. But there's questions, thematic questions of what does it mean to be true to your legacy? Are we going to repeat the mistakes of the past?
The dragons have had to learn those lessons just like the mortal kingdoms have had to. And I think that's one of the reasons why the dragons see this now as the time that they have to return and they have to step up once again as protectors of Azeroth. We're helping the dragons because the dragons have helped us in the past too. So by using the Explorers League and the Reliquary together, that allows us to delve into some of that history.
Dá pra ter uma história boa daí.
Upon the Dragon Isles and all of its visual splendor, I get
Deve
so
estar bem
excited
bonito o
for the
jogo.
prospect of a truly Azerothian adventure alongside Calicos, along with
Nossa, tá
Wrath,
bonitão,
Heavenborn, with Ysera's daughter Marithra, as
Ah,
each
filha
one
de
of them is
Ysera.
trying to find their own flights. I am taken by the exploration and the potential for adventure and just new
Potencial tem, gente. Esse tema de dragões assim é bem interessante no WoW.
From that time past.
O que me preocupa é potencialmente bom, mas
the longest time, we're going to be able to
não consigo
It really feels like just a breath of fresh
ter
air.
muita experiência na
Now
equipe
we're
de
going to
lore.
turn things over to some of our colleagues who will take you on that deep dive into the locations and the features of Dragonflight.
Hello, I'm Stephanie.
I'm Josh.
I'm Jackie.
And I'm Gary.
Hi.
We're part of the teams that are building the first two zones that you'll encounter in the Dragon Isles, the Waking Shore and the Unaran Plains. The very first zone in Dragonflight you're going to come to is the Waking Shores.
Faz sentido.
It's wild, untamed land. It's waking up
Gosto de
around you too,
despertar,
and the
sei lá.
elements are just going crazy.
The art team again has hit it out of the park.
You'll see
A
like
equipe de
lava
arte,
mountain
acredito que
flowing
tenha feito
in through the
trabalho
beach,
fenomenal.
Giant proto-dragon swooping down, gobbling up members of your expedition.
We have such rife opportunities to show elementals rising up because of the crazy magic that's flying around.
The one of the things I love is just how you get to the Dragon Isles, right? So you're going to get on your boat in Stormwind or Orgrimmar, and the first thing you do is sail between like the dragon ruin architectures. The boats come right alongside each other. You can jump from one boat to the other and just start causing havoc on the other faction's boat.
Meu
For
Deus.
those who love PvP, this is a great opportunity for war mode.
It's free for all out there. It's going to be great.
Cara,
But
pra mim, eu não vou
there's
fazer
an
isso.
innkeeper on the beach, so that if you're in that situation and you don't want to be in war mode anymore, you can just hop out right there.
The Reliquary and the Explorers League are working together.
The Horde and Alliance are sending an expedition together. It's not the military, it's not the soldiers. This is the scientists, the settlers, exploring this new land.
Yes,
So it's a lot more
science.
optimistic tone.
One of my favorite things about the Waking Shores is the Red Dragonflight, led by Queen Alexstrasza, the Lifebinder. They
Nossa,
have the
tá
mandate
linda,
of
mano.
nurturing and protecting all life, which means Horde and Alliance, Gorloks, trolls, everybody. So they take that duty seriously. When the Horde and the Alliance come to the Waking Shores, they want to be there to help guide the people through the new land and welcome them. But they're not the only one in the Waking Shores.
We have the ancestral home of the Black Dragonflight there too, which has fallen on tough times since Deathwing's descent. And so Rathian's coming over to the Isles with us, and he's going to try and come to terms with the state of the Dragonflight, which is a few loyal Draconids and Dragon Spawn trying to hold their ground.
Ainda
What
tem
can
gente
the future of
leosa
the
da
Dragonflight
morte,
be
então,
if it's
pelo
just
visto.
Rathian? Because it's not just the dragons that are coming back to the Dragon Isles, but also their longtime rival, the Jarden.
I love the Jardins so much. They're half giants that wield the power of magma, and when the Waking Shores
Tá,
and Dragon
gigantes
Isles went to
elementais.
slumber, they also slumbered. They're back now, and they are ready to raise chaos.
Yeah, they're massive. They're riding giant lava mammoths, parading around, just
Mamute
stomping on
de
your
lava,
face.
isso pode ser
And they
legal.
were the enemies of the Dragonfly for so long. They fought against the Red Dragonfly, hunted dragons down, and they're really taking this opportunity to rise up. As the Red Dragonfly have the mandate of nurturing life, they don't want to just stomp out the Jarden completely, but they want to make sure that they don't have the power to affect those around them negatively, to make sure they don't go on a rampage and destroy the ecosystem that has been
Faz
created.
sentido.
And so those are awesome things in the Waking
Apesar dela tá lutando contra os inimigos, ela também não quer
Best thing in Waking Shores,
extinguir a
right?
vida e tal,
This
que é a
is true.
dragonesa da vida, mãe da vida,
Yes.
lá, lá.
We finally have those webbed feet hooligans in our game. We cracked the technology.
They
We've
can
got them
figure
in.
it out. They
Yep.
can fly.
You should be proud.
Thank you.
Pato.
It's going to be awesome.
The Unaran Plains come right after the Waking Shores.
Agora vamos
It's
ter
so
patos.
breathtaking at first glance.
The Onaran plains are
Devo
big,
levantar,
wide
pular?
open plains.
Patos.
And the player is going to be constricted a little bit, and then you see this big contrast of a zone. We don't always get that opportunity, that cinematic moment where the player can have a framed view when they see this area.
Come out and you got that postcard shot
love
of
that.
the plains.
Tá
And then
bonito.
you see this giant fire proto-dragon breathing fire and a herd of centaur like harpoon down.
A volta dos centauros eu acho interessante.
And the first thing you get
Acho
to
que
do
desde
is
o
to help
clássico
them
que não-
kill the proto-dragon. Like how cool is
Não
that?
colocam centauros em nada.
Onara is the wild god of the wind. And she's appeared before as like this big
Não lembro
spirit
dela.
eagle. She's the one who guided the centaur to the Dragon Isles many, many years ago. She blessed them, took their caravan across, and then showed them the plains.
How fun at the beginning of this expansion was exploring the culture.
Isso aí pode ser legal.
The centaur are these
Eu gosto do
mighty,
tema dos
awesome
centauros.
hunters that back when they first came to the Dragon Isles,
Nossa,
they
que animal
fought green
diferente.
dragons all day long. Eventually they realized that we're strong, you're strong, maybe we should stop decimating each other's people. we'll make peace, we'll make an agreement. You guys hang out in the groves, and the centaur will hang out in the plains. But now, the dragons have been gone for 10,000 years. And the centaur have come so far since then. And they've been here, and they've been existing and developing their culture. They all came over as one clan led by the mighty Maruk and Tira, and they founded a new life here. So if you want to get across, you have to follow their rules and their traditions. You have to earn their trust. You are the first
Mais reputação, acredito.
in generations upon generations. The centaur might rule the
Podiam devolver os
plains,
tabardos,
but
hein?
the green dragons make their home in the groves. And those groves are
Os
absolutely
dragões humanoides legais.
And how great a job it is that we have where I can take all of this beautiful artwork and build these beautiful fantasy groves, high fantasy. We want to do lots of things with an open plane, and we want to be creative with that. But we're restraining ourselves by letting the zone sing, letting the horizon tell the story. We certainly couldn't have done that in the vanilla WoW.
No, definitely not. The zones are so big, and you can see so far, especially in Onaran Plains. So we talked to the engineers, and we actually increased that distance.
It spurs you
Isso é legal, cara.
to adventure and look through the zone and explore.
Basicamente você tem a sensação de imersão de que o lugar é gigante
all
e
these
tal.
conflicts with the Dragonflights. There's missing dragons, there's battles, there's so much crazy stuff happening, but that's not really all we're doing. There's so much extra fun activities for people to do. And the greatest thing is that you need to figure out exactly what's going on and help solve all the problems that are just sprouting up everywhere.
We're just really excited to tell a story that's grounded in Azeroth and exploration. There's so much more
Exploração
to
em
talk
Azeroth
about.
já
But
faz,
now we're going to
faz
have some
falta, é
folks
bom.
talking about the next two zones that players are going to experience in the Dragon Isles.
O que mais tem agora? Taldrazo, pô, os nomes estão difíceis, hein?
Hello, everyone. My name is Kate.
I'm Christy.
I'm Kate.
I'm Sean. We're going to talk today about Valdrassus and the Azure Span. So Azure Span is going to be the third zone that players adventure through, and it's one of our biggest zones that we've done in the Dragonflight, maybe even to date.
We knew it was going to be like the largest visual elevation change, and it really started with this great concept art. When we first were taking a look at the design, we kept coming back to one of our favorite Wrath zones, which was Grizzly Hills. And we really wanted to take that, but wowify it more. And I don't know if you've ever been up to the Bay Area, but in the morning, that coastal fog comes in and dips down into the redwoods and that sun shines through. That's really what we wanted to encapsulate with this forest. And not only we have redwoods, we've got all different types of trees. Eventually, it'll break open into this wide open tundra that's just golden and red, and you'll reach up
É, deve estar bem bonita essa zona aí também.
elevation where you get to see the snow. The majority of the zone is covered in snow and ice. We have giant
Ponto positivo, eu prefiro mapas de gelo.
ice rivers as far as the eye can see. And Sean,
Pra
I
mim,
know
né?
in the forest, we can expect our first creatures.
We have a small group that lives there called the Gnolls. These Gnolls
Volta de
are all
Gnolls.
throughout the forest and Azure Span. They've made this their home. Some Gnolls with strange magic.
Eita, atualizaram o modelo do Gnoll, tá bonito, hein?
Gnolls,
Ó.
or as I call them, the Snolls. Up
Curti,
in the
curti.
winter area.
Isso aí,
It's
vamos,
where
vamos,
It's going to be around the
vamos deixar
forest.
os,
So then we go into the big open
os mobs
tundra
mais bonitinhos,
where
né?
we meet our second group. the
Ó,
Tuskar.
estes caras aí. Nossa, tinha uma muito bonitinha lá no fundo.
Culture a lot more. And those kids are adorable. I absolutely love
É,
the
acho que todo mundo gosta dos
Honestly, all my
Tuskars.
downtime's probably just me hanging out with the Tuskar.
So it's been a little while since you've seen them.
Oh, o Wally Wars Leôncio aí.
King. They're also getting a nice, cool upres for their
Já
models.
passou da hora de deixar a gente jogar com eles também.
Culture, so there are gonna
nagas.
be male Tuskar, female Tuskar, Tuskar kids.
Oh,
so
pequenininho.
we're gonna fight alongside them, which includes help from a certain group of dragons, the blue dragons. We're
Nossa,
gonna
mas tá
follow the
bonito o
story of
dragão, hein? Ó,
Kalagos,
o Kalec
our
lindão.
blue dragon buddy from the Kirin Tor,
Ah,
and he's gonna be
tá bonito,
entering
hein?
into Sindragos' archives.
Tá
It's a
bonito.
giant zone. There's a lot of surprises. When we're done there, we head over to Valdrassus.
Valdrassus.
It's really incredible.
Aldrazo, né?
We'll be going through some of the previous zones and seeing a lot of ruins for the dragon buildings. But when you get to Thaldraszus, everything is perfectly intact. It's beautiful. It's pristine. It is the seat of power for all 5 Dragonflights and home of the dragons. It feels that way.
Deve tá
with
bonito
the
também.
huge vertical mountains. We've got these great cave systems where you may end up finding little dragon hordes.
My favorite Dragonflight right now is the Bronze. They've got a really cool area in Valdrassus, and their magic is time. There's so many cool
bonito.
story hooks that we could dig into there. There's so many cool gameplay options. And we have a little bit of an adventure for players. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
We really wanted it to feel like their old stomping grounds. One of the really cool features is going to be the main city and player hub for this expansion, Valdrakken. It is a culmination of all of the Dragon's efforts to put together what a city would look like.
So we
Tá,
ended up
entendi. Então a cidade
having a
principal da
bunch of really
expansão vai
Small
ser
vignettes where you see that
esse nome aí que eu
the blue
esqueci já.
Dragonflight is hosting a public library, and the red and green Dragonflights both have their own separate gardens. We'll also have some convenience services for players, including an auction house in the city.
Casa de leilões,
Really
bom.
nice if you're looking for more exotic wares. The thing that really sold me on Valdrassus was the initial concept art we got of Tierhold.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. And this is a 10,000-year-old Titan technological marvel. Tierhold has these awesome aqueducts
bonito,
that
Tierhold é
actually
bonito.
come out from the structure all the way to the city across the valley. And in the cinematic, there's just this amazing shot where you see Alexstrasza swoop under one of them, and there's splashes of water cresting across
É
the
diva ou não é?
So when players are flying around themselves, they get to have their Alexstrasza moment. What an incredible place and filled with so much history.
Tierhold was built by Tyr. He was a
Faz sentido,
Titan keeper back in the day who helped the Aspects fight Galakrond. And when they settled on the Dragon Isles, he built this facility. And even though Tyr's gone, the dragons have held him in reverence. But that was 10,000 years ago, and they've let the Titans maintain the place. An incredible amount of history has happened since then. Flights have been nearly wiped out. There have been invasions, betrayals. Aspects have died. And these are the kind of things that leave marks on a society. So now they're all back here, and they're all here together.
As we were designing the zone and the city itself, we're trying to figure out, how do we tell those stories at the same time as making sure that this is a really convenient place for players to go and, go shopping, as they tend to do. So much adventuring happening on the Dragon Isles.
It's so cool.
As a player, you probably
Dá até medo, porque aparentemente são muito mais notícias legais do que ruins.
learn the art of dragon riding.
It's so vertical. And
Isso aí eu achei bem interessante, essa interação nova de pra
towers
voar.
and swoop under things.
It's actually one of the things that we're about to learn about next.
Tá, vamos ver agora o Evoker e o...
Jake. I'm Andy.
I'm Kali.
And I'm Graham.
Ver mais detalhes aí.
To talk to you guys today about the Dragthir Evoker, our new race and class coming in Dragonflight.
Tem três specs.
About not only the Evoker, but also dragon riding, which is our exciting expression into the exploration of the Dragon Isles.
We knew with a dragon-themed expansion, we wanted to let you play a dragon. Not a big dragon, Alexstrasza size. That'd be tough to fit into raids. I'm sorry, Jake. Okay. I know.
Fine.
But a draconic humanoid. So the Dragthir is created by Neltharion.
And like our other hero classes, you get to choose if you want to start on the Horde or Alliance side on
Pô,
character.
mas também pudera, só dá pra uma facção, né?
The class they can be. What's unique about it is because the Dragthir are created by an aspect, they have the ability to wield the magic of all 5 Dragonflights. So Evokers
Legal, pode usar todas as...
blue magic and bronze magic.
And to show that,
Tá, e a
we
outra
created
que
a
falta?
visual, what we call a prismatic effect. This prismatic effect is basically the coalescence of all their energy as they channel it into whatever spell that they're going to cast. You have a red magic spell called Pyre. So when you shoot it out of your mouth, it twirls in the air with all 5 of the Dragonflight's magic as it turns into the red spell before landing on your enemies and exploding.
Visualmente tá muito bonito.
I'll take that one. Getting that vibe across that they use all 5 was really important to us, but we did want to make sure that each specialization focused on 2, because casting 5 different colors gets a bit messy. So their damage dealer specialization, their first of 2, Devastation, mostly focuses on red and blue magic. Red being very fast and explosive, burning everything with Pyre, whereas blue is more focused and overwhelming. You can shoot a beam of energy out of your mouth to disintegrate one single enemy in front of you.
There's a healer spec called Preservation. The healer spec is going to focus
Devastação
on your
e
green and your bronze
preservação.
magic. So your green is going to be evocative of the Emerald Dream, your growth and your nurturing spells. And then you have your bronze magic, which is going to be more timey-wimey. So you get to heal a wound faster.
So in addition to the visuals and the animation,
Voada verde e dourada então pra cura e azul e vermelha pra dano.
to have a physical connection,
Aparentemente tá legal.
we have a new type of spell called Empower.
Tem que ver as raciais também.
Hold down the button on
Bom,
your
eu pelo menos gosto bastante de ver as raciais de todas as
more damage or hit more
raças
targets
novas, né?
depending on spell.
Passivas e
It gives you
ativas.
this really physical connection and control that's new for World of WarCraft, and I think is feeling really, really good.
We have some great animations. Thank you, Andy.
Visualmente a raça tá bem legal.
Feel physical when you're casting your spells.
You can actually fly around the battlefield and cast while you're flying.
Raining
Isso que eles estão fazendo de melhorar as animações mas das habilidades também é algo a se elogiar e já era pra ter vindo antes, né? Porque as animações, assim, das nossas habilidades, eu acho que elas
But no, they're really
são
good.
meio fraquinhas.
Because you have both your draconic form and your humanoid form. And the customization
Melhoraram bastante, pelo visto. Estão melhorando.
What about color? Just tell me you
tell
can
us about the
change
color. You can do a lot of matching. So your visage form can have scales that are the same color as your Drakthir form.
But my favorite, super favorite part of customization.
Ainda bem que estão colocando mais e mais customizações.
Yeah.
Because I can actually do this in game.
Yeah.
The deck is here.
We finally did it.
As players make their way through each of the areas of the Dragon Isles, they'll partner up with the Dragonflights to move through the air as they've never done before. You'll notice I did not say flying, because flight has a very specific meaning for World of Warcraft.
Yeah, it does.
And we're talking about something new called dragon riding.
And as the players are honing their dragon riding skills, they're going to get to see all new animations that go along with.
Então você vai evoluindo suas habilidades, sua perícia em montaria de dragão, aí você vai podendo fazer peripécias. É o que eu dei pra entender.
With forces like momentum and gravity.
We knew that for Dragonflight,
Tomara que não seja tão demorado, né?
Show players a whole new set of Dragon Isle Drakes, completely unique from all the other things they've seen in World of Warcraft. And so we wanted to come up with a movement system that would add that sense of physics, weight, and gravity, like you were mentioning. We knew it was going to take a huge team effort, not just animation, but it was going to take effects.
Então tentando deixar um pouco mais realista a questão do voo. Tipo jogos de corrida, por exemplo, que você sente um pouco mais realista do jeito que você pilota, e no caso ali é o voo, né? É legal. Mostra que pelo menos estão se esforçando para fazer alguma coisa.
So, for example, when you start hitting, maximum velocity, you're going to see contrails coming off the edges of the wings. And then, as you do your rolls and spirals, you build up more and more.
Não que seja algo fantástico, mas é legal.
On the display to indicate that you're reaching maximum velocity, which really adds to the overall kind of immersion and sense of reality.
As players make
Eu ainda tô preocupado mais com a história.
Discover new cosmetic options to fine-tune their Dragon Isle Drake's appearance.
Pelo menos a parte cosmética tá.
Snoots, horns,
tails. Nossa, muito legal.
Dragon Isle Drake
Que dragão bonito. Montaria com armadura é top, hein?
Okay. We want to provide players with all new skills to play with, as those who can use their momentum well can reach higher and higher heights and bring on new, more difficult challenges.
We just have so many new, gorgeous options to choose from, and I'm just so excited for all of them.
I'm excited for the whole thing. I mean, it's been a lot of fun to work on, but I can't wait to actually get in the game, play it with you guys.
I can't wait. I can't wait to fly around Dragon Isles. It's gonna be great.
Next up, you're going to hear about the talent revamp and the UI changes coming in Dragonflight.
Mudança agora então de talentos e interface, vamos ver.
Hello, my name is Brian.
I'm Crash.
I'm Jay.
And I'm Laura. We are very excited to share we are finally revamping the WoW HUD UI.
And it is also time for a major revamp to talents and specializations.
I have a big question for the group. How long do you think it took for us to finally revamp the WoW HUD?
My guess is like 15 years.
Close, 18 years.
18 years.
Wow.
You know,
18 anos com a interface antiga, assim, realmente.
Back in 2004.
Eu até gosto, mas
monitors and us, we have better depth.
Já era hora de melhorarem mesmo.
So it makes sense to have the revamp right now. Also, if you look at the game today, the art evolved.
Muita gente usa o Elv UI, se eu não me engano, o nome do addon, mas eu não gosto.
So when we approached this, we wanted to create a layout experience that players could customize, move things around, adjust.
Isso aí eu ia curtir, sendo no estilo deles aí para eu personalizar e tal.
The downside is that not everybody uses them. It's about time that everybody has the opportunity to use them, that they become a part of the base UI.
Yeah, and we are working very closely with our user research team to make sure we are hitting the goals that our player needs.
It allowed us to add new functionality to improve
Melhorar é sempre bom,
in a lot of areas, and on top of that, we are going to be improving the art.
Yeah, so the art update, it's a big part of this project. The UI that we have today has a lot of charm and personality, and players have been using that for 18 years. So, with that in mind,
bem clássica, né?
I expect the players will really like the
eu por exemplo, gosto.
Do a modern take to it, removing the clutter and giving more visibility.
Aparentemente, eu tô gostando aí também dessa modificação.
The minimap, it looks bigger, and the health bar is also much bigger.
Tá mais bonitinho mesmo.
Action bars and the bottom menus, they have less head frames, and it can really open up your game.
Aparentemente vai ficar bem mais bonito.
In front of you. And of course, we want to find iconic pieces from the current HUD, but we want to bring it back in a nice way. So we for sure updating the griffins. They look so nice now.
Ah, vamos deixar os grifos mais bonitinhos também.
We got you.
Os grifos e as mantigas. Tem umas montarias, inclusive, de carneiros que precisam de atualizações. Vamos, né?
Various HUD elements around.
Tigres antigos também, eles poderiam dar uma melhoradinha nessas montarias antigas aí também, né?
Left corner, if I want to bring my action bars from the bottom and kind of
Já passou da hora também.
character, those are all things that I'll be able to do.
Absolutely. And each of those different components will have various sets of options that you'll be able to work with. They'll be able to save it, edit it, copy it, name it. Also, it'll remember which spec you're in.
Pelo visto, as mudanças que você for fazer na interface, você vai poder salvar perfis, criar perfis, editar, colocar nome, enfim.
We're gonna keep working on it. So we really want to hear back from you.
A project that we're all excited about that we've been collaborating a lot on is something that's pretty UI intensive, and that's the talent system.
It hadn't changed in a long time, like you said before, and we really started with how can we have players have more choice over what their character has?
As you level up, we give you a new spell or a new ability, something that kind of makes you stronger, but it's determined by the designers. We decide the order.
Yeah, we started looking for a system that would give players a much wider set of options.
And after looking at all those things, what we really returned back to was the idea of trees. But it's actually two trees. We have a
Agora tá falando mais específico sobre a árvore de talentos, que eu não conheço muito como era.
That is focused on performing.
Por um lado, eu acho que pode ser interessante porque você personaliza bastante o seu personagem. Tipo, os personagens vão estar um pouco mais diferentes do que são hoje em dia, que é tudo muito parecido.
Because we feel like picking a specialization.
Não sei se isso vai ser bom ou ruim, mas com certeza vai ser diferente, vai.
Character now, and so we want to make sure that when you choose
Só testando mesmo para saber.
Yeah, as soon as you open your talent tree, you'll see something new. The class side will have some abilities filled out for free, just kind of starting you off in that spec you've chosen, but then you'll have your first point to spend in the class tree, which could be something related to that spec or role, or it could be something from elsewhere in the class.
There's a lot of things that we can do here, and part of that is encouraging players to
Vão ter builds, né, bem diferentes. A verdade é essa, desse jeito.
This is an opportunity to put a lot more art and fantasy in the actual talent UI itself.
You have seen
Parece que vai mudar muita coisa,
most
né?
recent expansions, but not the base UI.
Bom, vocês podem ficar tranquilos, vocês que me assistem e gostam dos meus guias, podem ficar tranquilos que eu vou fazer todos eles
The power really is coming back to the player.
com essas modificações todas aí.
We want people to feel locked into, and so one of the things that we'll be preserving is the ability to change these talents at the same kind of frequency that you do now.
Yeah, the old school players, when you see trees this time, just think, yeah, I'll go from my raid night to my arena match and figure out what I think is the best for both of those.
And that's a process we want to make really fluid. So we're building a save load feature.
Parece que vai dar para salvar perfis também com talentos, combinações que você fez. É bom porque você pode trocar rápido combinações, por exemplo. Essa combinação é melhor para masmorra, essa para raid, essa para PVP. Aparentemente não vai ser algo ruim, não.
So these are really cool features that we've been working long and hard on.
Eu acho,
We're
né?
excited about them, and it's just an early preview of the things we've been doing. We can't wait to see the reaction that you have to them, and please reach out to us and let us know your thoughts on them. And next up, we're going to talk about professions in Dragonflight.
Mais coisas sobre profissões. Reformas nas profissões. Vamos ver o que vai ter de reforma.
I'm Joanna. And I'm Eric, and we're going to talk about our plans for professions in Dragonflight. Professions have been a staple of World of WarCraft forever, and they've seen lots of really cool incremental updates over their life. But for Dragonflight, we want to do something a bit different. We really want to rethink professions and figure out how to make them part of your identity as a player, if that's what you want.
We really want to make sure that professions feel fun and relevant across all levels of gameplay.
That brings us to our first update, something that we're calling crafting orders. If you want to have something crafted for you, but you don't have the skill or the right profession to do it for yourself, you can have it crafted through a crafting order. You can basically browse any of the recipes.
Essa é aquela questão que eu falei, praticamente você deixar lá, eu quero tal item, a pessoa vai lá, crafta e...
Needed for the recipe.
Interessante que você pode até colocar alguns itens, pelo que eu tô entendendo, que fazem parte do processo e a pessoa completa.
You can also go to an NPC and using an auction house-like interface, send the order out. If you're doing this, You can pick, do you want to send the order to anyone, sort of a public order?
Isso é interessante, facilita para você ter o item, né?
Or to a specific other player, maybe it's a friend.
Facilita também para quem cria item, no caso.
If you are really dedicated to your craft, you're going to be the best at what you do.
One of the coolest things about this is the item you had crafted can also be soul-bound. In the past, you could only get your hands on crafted soul-bound items by having that profession yourself. Now anyone can have them crafted for them, which is really neat and really expands the number of items that we can provide that are really powerful because everyone can have them crafted through the crafting honor system.
This is also really cool because it means as a crafter, you can start building your client base. People are going to come back to you to get certain items. Maybe you're the best at making it.
Pelo visto agora vai ter qualidade também de craft, ou seja, qualidade de criação.
It's going to be really great.
So the first time you go to craft, you're going to notice a lot of different things. But
você pode ficar agora então meio que famosinho se a qualidade dos itens que você criar for alta e tal. Parece interessante.
That's a higher quality, it's just going to be better. For a piece of gear, that probably means a higher item level. If it's, for instance, a potion, that might mean a more powerful effect at a higher quality.
Dependendo do nível então de criação que você tem, os itens ficam melhores.
Really special and unique.
And another thing you might notice in the crafting UI that's new is the introduction of stats specifically to your professions, both crafting and gathering. And this is another sort of major input into quality. Probably the biggest source of your ability to craft items at a higher quality is through crafting specializations. We've had crafting specializations in the past, as far back as original World of WarCraft. With Dragonflight, you can go out and earn specialization points in a whole bunch of different ways. So maybe you find an old book on a bookshelf.
Dá para aumentar então suas habilidades de crafting em várias formas.
So let's say you're a blacksmith.
Interessante.
You might decide that first you want to become an armor smith. And the more points you spend in armor smithing, the better you're going to get.
Então pelo visto vai ter também tipo uma trilha também de talentos, de pontos de especialização. Você pode se especializar então em fazer arma, armadura. Interessante. Pra guilda realmente é bom. Porque nem todo mundo, tipo, se você tem alguém especializado em armas, o outro pode ser especializado em armaduras. Então não tem tanto problema de ter dois ferreiros. Interessante.
To see all the different players crafting their items at their cool craft.
Tem espaço para todo mundo, resumindo.
You're going to walk into the city and you're going to see like all these alchemists huddled over here, and you're going to see all these blacksmiths over by the forge. There will be other players filling orders or grabbing orders. There's going to be a whole new crafting area that's going to make you feel really part of the world.
It just seems like a much more lively area than it has in the past.
What I'm most excited about, though, is the gear. We're introducing new types of gear for every profession, and when you go to, say, mine a node, you're actually going to just switch into that gear. It's going to be really great.
You're not going to have to carry that stuff around in your backpack anymore. There's actually going to be dedicated slots for each of your pieces of gear. But I'm a numbers guy. I love progressing. All pieces of profession gear will have those special stats that we mentioned before on them. And as you get your hands on better versions of the gear, it's really going to help you get.
Então, quanto melhores equipamentos você conseguir também de profissão, mais você vai evoluindo. É interessante. Principalmente os cosméticos eu gostei bastante.
We've got a lot more in store for you in the coming months.
Until then, we'll see you in Azeroth.
Bom, então por enquanto é isso. Vai ter, acredito que nos próximos meses vão dar mais informações sobre as evoluções aí da expansão. Eu espero ver realmente mais coisas legais, inclusive assim, todo mundo estava querendo que todo mundo eu não sei, mas uma grande parte dos jogadores queriam informações se vai ter housing, se não vai ter, quer dizer, né, que é você ter uma própria casa customizável, customizando tanto dentro quanto fora da sua casa e tal, uma coisa que os jogadores gostariam há muito tempo, seria muito legal, inclusive. Não falaram nem que sim, nem que não. Eu espero que essa e outras informações venham aí, né? Com o passar dos meses, espero que não demore tanto também. Mas assim que aparecer, eu faço o vídeo também comentando, dando minha opinião sobre isso. E eu gostaria muito de agradecer você que ficou até aqui. Você que é novo no meu canal, seja muito bem-vindo também. Você que não é inscrito, que assistiu o vídeo até aqui, então se inscreve aí, dá aquela força, curte para ajudar o canal. E é isso. Muito obrigado por todos que assistiram até aqui e um abraço. Valeu!